Hola amigos de Wine News TV, les invito a conectar conmigo y con mis invitados en Wine News TV On The Go, un podcast que a su vez es un espacio donde aprenderás sobre el mágico mundo del vino a través de invitados de todas partes del mundo que nos contarán sobre sus proyectos para obsequiarnos de forma embotellada música, fuego y leones, como decía el gran maestro argentino Jorge Luis Borges en su poema Soneto al Vino. Hola amigos de Wine News TV, seguimos creando contenido desde los Finger Lakes. Estoy aquí con mi amigo Roberto Tito Herb de Discovery Finger Lakes Wineries. Lo pueden seguir a él en su cuenta de Instagram. Él es un juez certificado de vinos y es de madre puertorriqueña. Estamos aquí en Geneva, en Trestle 31, y estoy con la primera mujer en Estados Unidos en ser enóloga, winemaker y Master of Wine. Los Masters of Wine, you guys are like the Jedi Masters of wine,
kind
right?
of, a little bit.
And I'm with Nova Cadamatre. I don't want to
Yes.
kill the last name.
Yes.
Very Italian. And I love your name, Nova. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm fascinated. Tito has been raving about your wines. And
Oh,
he's
can't
been
wait.
telling me, you got to try them. You got to try them. They're
Mhm.
fantastic. Tell me a little bit about yourself before we get into the project.
Sure.
Growing up, were you exposed to wines? Your parents were wine drinkers.
Nope.
Tell me about your first experience tasting a wine that perhaps parted the waters for you in a way and
Sure.
allow you to get into this world. How did it all begin?
So it's funny. My first taste of wine was Franzia White Zinfandel when I was probably like 8 or 9 years old because my mom had it in the fridge and she used to drink a little bit of every night. And I tasted it and I thought it was the most god awful stuff that I'd ever tasted in my life. And if all wine tasted like that, I wanted nothing to do with it.
Right. How old were you?
That was like 8 or 9.
Oh, okay.
You
okay.
know, and so that made a very large impression, however.
Of course,
and so fast forward 10 years
Do you recall
or so.
if you found it sweet or you found the alcohol displeasing?
The alcohol was displeasing and it was very bitter.
Okay.
And so I'm a super taster, so that should not come shocking that I'm
You're
just
a master of wine.
It's one of those things.
I'm
that it's just
intimidated
like-
right now. Like when I typically describe wines, you can ask Tito. You better believe that I'm just gonna say this is good. All right.
But that's all you need to do. That's
course,
the thing.
of
That's
course,
all you
of
need.
course.
It's like you don't need to go
I
into
do
craziness.
mental notes and I say
Mhm.
roses, mint, thyme, but
Yeah.
it's just me.
Absolutely.
Most of the time I'm making it up.
Yeah.
All right, continue.
So anyway, so fast forward to 10 years. So my husband Brian and I met when I was 17.
Oh, okay.
His family is New Jersey Italian people, but had relocated.
So
to
the
South Carolina.
Cadamatre is from him.
Cadamatre's from him.
Okay.
Yeah, my maiden name is McCune. It's,
Okay.
you know, Scotch. It does, you know, all from all over, but nothing from Italy. So anyway, met him, met his family. They are the classic Italian. Let's have a glass of wine with dinner, and it's around a table, and you have these great conversations, and so they were the ones that introduced me to the culture around wine, and I really loved that aspect of the familiar, the gathering together.
Of course, yeah.
And you know, but I still didn't really love the taste of alcohol. And so he said when I was probably 19, I think, around there, he says, well, we should start a vineyard. My family in Italy did it. It can't be that hard. Famous last words, right? You know, so he always
he's a dreamer.
He is a dreamer.
All Italians are a little nuts. You know this.
I've learned this over time.
It's like in Argentina. It's
Okay.
like it's an asylum of brilliant people. The whole country.
I love it.
Italy's a little bit like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, so I said, well, I was in horticulture at the time. I said, well, let me figure out what it's going to take to grow a grapevine. And I was in roses. That was my previous specialty. And roses and grapevines have a lot of diseases.
Of course.
in common.
And where were you living? New Jersey?
No, so we started out in South Carolina, which is where I'm from.
Okay.
We both had moved up here. He was in Syracuse. I was at Morrisville State, which is way east of here. And so I was working on my horticulture degree. And so my associate's degree is actually in greenhouse production. So that's what my starting point was. He's a forestry major, and he did all 4 of his years and then did a master's through Syracuse. And so, so we started out, I said, let me see how hard this is to grow. And so I moved down to Pennsylvania and I did an internship at Longwood Gardens as an outdoor display intern. But while I was there, I called all these wineries that are down in the Brandywine River Valley. And I said, hey, you know, can I come work for free if you tell me what you're doing and why. And of course, everybody's like, yes, please. We always need people. And if we don't have to pay you, that's even better. So I got all these phone calls, and I went and I just like did random stuff. I racked tanks. I harvested grapes. I cleaned things. And that's how I got my start in wine.
This is your early 20s.
It's my early 20s. Yeah, I was 20. It was 2003 was my first harvest. And so that was my first exposure into the wine industry. And I really loved it. And I loved the crafting aspect of it. And I loved the fact that one person can be involved in the growing, the making, and the selling of a product. And that's pretty rare. It's pretty unusual for that to be a full part of the production chain. And I really liked that aspect of it. My mom's an artist, and my dad was an engineer, and so I've got both kind of math and art brain.
Left side, right side.
Yeah, and so like this lifestyle gives me the opportunity to be really, really creative, but also in a really methodical, scientific way. And so bringing all of this together in winemaking just made a lot of sense. And so then I went to Cornell. I got my degree in viticulture because I was still in plants. Most people that get into wine, they have some wine moment, right? They have some amazing wine, and they're like, this is amazing, and I want to make this, right? For me, it's always been about the vineyard. It's always been about the growing and then producing.
That's where wines are made.
It's where wines are made, absolutely. And so, if you don't have great fruit, you're not going to make great wine. You can make acceptable stuff, but it's just so much more work. And
and with bad fruit, you can never make good wine.
You can never make good wine. You can never make great wine.
Exactly. You can make acceptable
I've made some acceptable wine with some really crappy fruit over the course of my career. So I will say that. But I went about it in a very unconventional way because a lot of people when so door open. Sorry, no, we're good. So like a lot of people when they go into fine winemaking, they stay in fine winemaking their whole life. And my career has been all up and down the chain. So I've made everything from $3 a bottle of wine all the way up to $750 a bottle of wine, and everything in between, and every style. And so it's a lot of fun now to be able to go, let's just try something. Now it's like finding things that I haven't done or I want to try or I want to play with, is really an interesting thing for me, So like the one thing I did this year, this vintage that I hadn't done before, is I made a white Pinot Noir. I've wanted to make a white Pinot Noir for probably 13 years and have never done it, but I did it this year, So it's one of those things where every year you get to try something a little more fun and different and interesting. And you can make really small batches, you can make really big batches. And, still my favorite thing about it is wine brings people together.
And after Pennsylvania, what did you do after that?
So I moved up here to the Finger Lakes. Okay. So my second and third harvests were here in the Finger Lakes while I was at Cornell. Once Brian and I graduated.
Working with a winery? Here?
Yes. So I was at Thirsty Owl.
Okay, yeah. Thirsty Owl.
Yeah,
okay.
So they're over on Cayuga Lake. And Sean Keim is the winemaker there. He was my early mentor after John Wygant down in Pennsylvania. And so I worked with Sean, and he was the vineyard manager and the winemaker. And so I got to see all facets of the experience there. And that's really when I fell in love with the Finger Lakes, is because their vineyard, it's got to be like 60 years old now. It was 40 years old when I was there. It's got to be 60 now. And the Pinot Noir off of that top vineyard was really, really interesting to me. And
was that the first varietal that picked your interest?
Yes.
Pinot Noir?
Yes. So I'm a little nuts.
Your first love?
My first love. And I also learned to hate Syrah there too, because they have Syrah, and that is just such a pain to grow here. It's a pain to grow anywhere, but really it's a pain to grow here. And so, I really fell in love with this region and that variety here. And I knew that I didn't have the experience at the time to really draw out what I thought could be drawn out of the fruit here. So I was like, all right, I gotta go where the pros are. I got to figure out how to do this. And so we moved to California.
Okay.
And,
so you had just gotten married with him.
Yes. Yeah. So we got married in 2005, moved to California in 2006. And we were there for 9 years.
Oh wow! And did you land a job from here? And
yes.
Okay, so you had made arrangements.
We made arrangements.
Not like an actor that goes to Hollywood and lives in the car.
No,
okay.
No. I had a job. It was a very not glamorous part of winemaking. I went from Thirsty Owl that was making like 7,000 cases a year to a winery called Mission Bell that was making 15 million cases a year. Wow! So that's quite the jump.
Yeah, and what were you doing with? At Mission Bell.
So what I did at Mission Bell, the first 6 months, it was just kind of like helping everybody else out. I was assistant winemaker, and at that point, you're like the grunt work. Like you're not pulling hoses, because at wineries that big, winemakers don't do that. It's you're writing work orders, you're making sure that things get done, you're checking lab analysis, you're overseeing harvest duties 24/7, that type of thing. So about 6 months in, their sparkling winemaker, so Cook's wine, is made at Mission Bell, and it's about 2 million cases a year of Charmant method sparkling wine. So their winemaker got transferred up to Woodbridge Winery, which is part of the same network, and I had been shadowing him since I had.
That's Mondavi, right? Woodbridge.
It was part of Mondavi, but at the time it was all owned by Constellation.
Okay.
And so, so I moved into the sparkling winemaker role, and so basically I ran the cellar for Cook's for 2.5 years.
Oh,
after
how
that.
cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, you want to learn how to operate a fermentation. You got a bottling schedule that says you got to turn a tank over every week and a half of a secondary fermentation. You get really, really good at monitoring fermentations. Yeah. And it's like 24 hours a day.
Alarm that goes off.
Absolutely.
Each time you have to do it.
Yeah.
And how long were you there for?
I was there for a total of 3 years.
3 years. And then after that? At what time did you start studying for the Master of Wine?
During that year. So I was there probably, I graduated in 2006 from Cornell. And I got out there in 2006, and within a couple of weeks, I was like, this is not the part of the industry I want to be working. And so I was like, I have to do something to differentiate myself. So I started looking around, and I found the Master of Wine program. I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. So Get Through Harvest, 2007 came around, and the prerequisite for the Master of Wine.
I love how you say that's so cool, how confident, because I don't know how many of you are in the world. I think it's less than passengers in a jumbo jet.
400 and
yeah, it's crazy.
Maybe 430.
Yeah,
now?
I interviewed Tim Atkin 4 or 5 years ago, and the number only grows by a tiny fraction every year.
Well, because we lose people every year.
Of course, and it's incredible hard to pass.
Yes.
But I love how you say, oh, it's very easy. I want to be an astronaut, right? I want to be a Master of Wine. So you looked up the program.
Yeah, so I looked up the program, and I remember the moment that I found it, and I was reading about it, and I read that the prerequisite was for the WSET program. So you have to have the WC diploma. And I was sitting there with my office mate, and I was like, oh my gosh, look at this. This is so cool. And it's like, I want to do that. I want to become a Master of Wine. And he starts cracking up.
Of course.
And he goes, nobody really does that. Like, aren't you crazy? And I was like, I don't know. I'll probably give it a shot. It's like, why? Yeah, exactly. Why not? Why not just go for it? I'm not going to, So I went and I got my WSET advanced certificate in 2007. Started the diploma in 2008, got a year into the diploma, and then realized I probably could get into the MW program without the diploma because I had the degree from Cornell. I was learning as I was going,
Right.
So I was like, well, I'll try to apply and see if they'll take me without finishing the diploma. So then I did, and I got in. But then, of course, I'm halfway through the diploma, and I'm like, well, I got to keep going with this. So I did my first year of the MW and second year diploma at the same time, which I do not recommend at all.
Okay.
It's a lot, but
so
I did it.
You were going crazy studying with.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, this was pre-kids. We didn't have kids at the time, so I had a lot of free time. And so, got through my diploma, got that, went into my second year of the MW, and sat the exam. Failed it.
Okay.
Like
99% of the people fail it the first time. I'm exaggerating, of course, but it's an incredibly high number.
So at the time I entered the program, your rate of passing of people who start the program to becoming an MW was 3%. It's 16% now. So we've gotten better at screening applicants of people who were truly prepared to come in. And 2, we've gotten better at supporting the students through the program. But it's a relatively small number that get through, but it's better than it was. So,
it's less than 500 people in the world. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Incredible.
So, so the first vintage.
How many Masters of Wine in the U.S.?
I think we have like 30 something, maybe 40 something now.
Wow. And you have less Masters of Wines than states.
Yes, 100%. That is probably true.
And there's a Master of Wine here in the Finger Lakes in Geneva.
Yes.
What a treat. What an honor. What for me. All right. So how long did it pass since that friend of yours told you, you're crazy, nobody does that, until you got your Master of Wine degree? How many years?
10 years.
10 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because it was 2 years in the WSET before I got in the program, and it was 8 years in the program, although technically one of those years I had completely failed out and had lost all my chances, and I was out of the program and then came back. And
when you did not pass that first time, did you consider not taking it again?
No. No, it never crossed my mind to not take it again.
You're not a quitter.
I'm not a quitter.
You're not a quitter.
Yeah.
Okay, so
when I failed out, I wasn't planning on taking it again. But yeah.
So you became a Master of Wine in 2015? 17. Wow. Yeah. Remarkable. At 30-something years of age.
Yeah. How old was I? I don't know, 35 maybe.
Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah.
All right. When did Trestle come about? Where
So
we're at
2015.
2015.
2015 was when we started Trestle. And that came about because we had been in California for 9 years. I was at Mondavi. I was working for Constellation and that at Mondavi Napa at that point. And
doing the Reserve, the Tocalon,
yeah,
those
so
wines.
all the red wines. So
Okay.
I was the red winemaker at Mondavi at that point. And Constellation approached me and they said, hey, you know, our director of winemaking back in New York is retiring, and you're the only winemaker in our entire network that has any New York experience, and this would be a promotion for you from winemaker to director. Are you interested in moving back to the Finger Lakes? And it's always been kind of one of those things that Brian had always batted around at that point. It's like, yeah, we want to still do our own thing. The Finger Lakes is really cool, and we've always looked for property and stuff, but we never like seriously had been planning it, because the joke in our house prior to me working at Mondavi was, well, you know, we always want to move back to New York unless I start a job like Mondavi, you know, and it was the joke, like, that's never going to happen. And then in 2013, they hired me as the red winemaker. And there I am in the middle of Tocalon making all these amazing
I'm
wines.
sure I've had plenty of wines made by you.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Everybody has.
Yeah, of course, of course. Now
they don't know that.
Now they changed the label, because that top wine before had the word "the Reserve" written and the signature from Robert Mondavi. Yes.
It still has the word Reserve on it. Yeah, okay. But it is a different label.
Yeah, it changed.
Yeah. So that's and I told Brian, I said, gosh, you know, we got a really good gig here.
So you had the salary of Mondavi as director of winemaker.
I wasn't director there yet.
Okay.
I was just a red winemaker, but they were promoting me to a director here.
Okay, and what does the director of wine does from here? Like, if the vineyards are in California?
No. So Constellation had a winery here in Canandaigua.
Oh, yeah. Tito was telling me about that. Yeah. Okay, all right. So you moved here.
We moved back here.
With a position, the salary, and you had the chance to see properties, vineyards.
Yeah. Okay. So we actually bought our property before we moved back, because we found the property about a day after they had said, hey, do you want to move back?
When you say the property, is it this place, or is it where you have your vines?
We have 12 acres that has nothing on it.
Okay.
On the northeast side of Seneca Lake. And we've owned it since 2015. And the plan has always been to build something over there. And I say this, I'm laughing, because it's like, it's still the plan, but it just takes so long.
And what do you, in your grapes, what do you buy them for? You have...
we buy all the fruit. Okay. So the Riesling, until from 15 to 22, all came from Zugabee, which is just north of our property. So it's the same soil type, same aspect, all that. The Chardonnay is from Nut Road on the west side of Seneca Lake. It's farmed by the Anthony Road Group. And then the Cabernet Franc is from Simmons Vineyard, which is on the bluff of Keuka, which is kind of where it looks like a Y, Keuka does. And at the top where that Y is, it's on the eastern facing slope of that. So that's where the Cabernet Franc
You make four wines?
We make 5.
You have the Rosé. Cab Franc.
Yep.
Rosé is made of with which
Cab Franc.
Cab Franc Rosé.
Yep.
You got a Riesling.
2 Rieslings.
2 Rieslings.
Yep.
What, a dry,
and an off dry.
You have Chardonnay, and what's the other one?
That's it.
Okay. You don't make Pinot Noir here?
We do now, but it's not in a bottle yet.
Oh, okay. Well, I gotta try that someday. It's more of an excuse to come back for me, Tito.
There you go.
Okay, and so you have that spot there, and the name Trestle. I love the poetry behind the meaning, I guess. Why did you pick the name, and the 31 stands for what?
So the property has a railroad trestle right at the top of it. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, we're drawing inspiration from what we can see standing on our property. So we wanted to embrace the trestle because it's very prominent. The 31 is part of the Revolutionary War lot that the property was part of. So after the Revolutionary War, the government gave out 500-acre tracts of land. Our property, when you look back on the deed, was part of lot 31. And so that's where the 31 comes from.
I love the name, the reason behind, and it's an homage to the roots of the land.
Yes.
And also to the present state of the land where you see the trestle.
Yes.
I love it. All right, let's taste, because people are not here to hear us chat about your life, but rather, hey, talk about wine. We want to know what this master of wine can do. Okay, so this is the Rosé wine, Finger Lakes 2023, and you told me that this is a Cab Franc.
It is Cab Franc. There is 5% neutral barrel fermented Chardonnay in there, though. However,
because my God, what a gorgeous nose.
Well, that's the thing about Rosé is, To me, I always tell people it's the most technically challenging wine that I make because the color has to be perfect, the nose has to be perfect, the mouthfeel has to be perfect.
Tito, I'm not spitting this. Did you give me permission? Oh my God. What a gorgeous, gorgeous nose. Cheers.
Thank you.
This
Cheers.
is Nova. This is fantastic.
I guess if you're not drinking this, I guess I will. So I'm very inspired by Provence, and I love the styles there. I love the delicacy, but there's also a power underlying in those rosés that I really, really admire. And so this is rosé made with great intention, because I don't like to just make a wine just because we need it.
This is one of the best rosés I've had in my life. That's non from Provence.
Thank you. Well, Puerto Rico is rosé country. I mean, you could drink that.
Well, yeah, we got to talk about that because maybe you would like to come to our market.
I would love to come to Puerto Rico.
Okay, so you gotta leave me your contact info. This is spectacular. This bottle of wine sells for how much? $40?
$24.
You're lying.
No,
$24 for this?
Yeah. Well, okay, so this is funny how I think about the pricing on this. I always look at Whispering Angel and Chateau Miraval, and I look at those two, and I'm like, all right, what are they selling for? Yeah. And I want to be less. I want to be less than them because our quality is just as good. Yeah.
The quality here is top notch, and I say this with the utmost respect. But if you serve me this blind, I would never think Finger Lakes. But then again, I don't know anything about Finger Lakes, right?
Yeah.
This is totally a French nose, Provence, super high-end, Garous style, because Whispering Angel is the entry one. Then they have Garous, and the other one is La Dome. Jeez, I did something with them recently. This is gorgeous. This is
thank you,
fantastic. And you know what? Again, you're the master of wine. I am not. But it reminds me of Grenache instead of Cap Franc.
Yeah.
Why?
Because that's the style I like.
Oh, I love this one. This is remarkable. For you listening, this is the Trestle 31 2023 Rosé. What a gorgeous art. This is made by your mom?
Yes, it's my mom. Yeah, she's
incredible. This is incredible. A gorgeous, glorious bottle of Rosé Finger Lakes wines. My God, can the Finger Lakes compete with the best of the best? After tasting this, I'm blown away. Nova. Really, really good.
Thank you.
12% alcohol, elegant, has that lovely red crunchy fruit, and it has the acidity. It's like a hypothetical salad of strawberries with lemon.
Yep.
And you throw in some. This is a little crazy, but there is in Puerto Rico we have guava, and there's like a tropicality element to it, but at the same time you got those herbs and that.
I always like fennel. Fennel things. Really good.
It's gorgeous. This is Tito, are you sure you know? You're good.
Tito definitely knows
Tito's
what it tastes
like. Tito's a good customer.
Yes, he is one of our wine club members, so he definitely knows what it tastes like.
I was just in here a couple of weeks ago.
This is magnificent, Nova. This is magnificent. Are we tasting anything else?
Of course.
Okay, all right.
We're not going to let you come through here and just taste the rosé.
Magnificent wine. I'm going to pause for a bit. Well, we're continuing here at Trestle 31 with Nova Cadamatre. I was blown away by the rosé. What are we tasting next?
So this is the 21 Chardonnay. So we always like to have a couple of wines that have a little bit of bottle age on it. Everything we make, with the exception of the rosé, stays in bottle a year before we release it. So our 22s are our current release, but this one has got a little bit more age on it, and so I thought it would be fun to show you. It's a little bit more Burgundian in style.
Oh, for sure.
The vintage was very cool and wet in 21, and so you really kind of see the like minerality.
Macone wine. It has oak, right? It has
it's all French oak fermented.
Yeah, it has that spice, but it's a touch. It's not invasive. It's there to give a lift of spice, and I'm getting a lovely pineapple, but there's a minerality to it as well. Again, gorgeous nose and impressive. See ya. There's a song that says "Makes me want to cry." Incredible.
Thank you.
Incredible. Gorgeous Chardonnay, and it has texture. It has a lovely I don't want to say creaminess, but layers perhaps on the palate. Nice acidity, and I always get that lemon oil sensation in the Burgundy wines, but here I get some flowers, and I don't know if it's a honeysuckle or it's a reduction, a flintiness to it.
So this is Clone 76, which is a very floral Dijon clone.
Yeah.
And I like to retain that floral note because it's kind of a surprising element in Chardonnay. Not many people think of Chardonnay as a floral variety. And the way we do that is we do a lot of lees work, but we roll the barrels versus opening the barrels. So we roll the barrels every other week for 9 months. And that incorporates the lees without us having to open the bung, which then introduces oxygen, which would break down that floral characteristic. So that's how we accomplish this. So it is, I would say, yes, the mouthfeel is quite creamy because we do a lot of lees work, but we do not introduce oxygen in the lees.
This is incredible. This cannot be less than $50, right?
It is $38. Well, actually, this one is $40 now that it's a.
This is such a high-end wine. This is a restaurant Michelin star Chardonnay, and trust me, this destroys some of the Chardonnays from Napa Valley that not Napa, Carneros or Russian River or Sonoma that retail for twice its price. Oh my God, what a gorgeous wine, and 13% alcohol. In this style of richness, you typically see something along the 14.2 percentage of alcohol. Glorious, Nova.
Thank you.
Glorious Chardonnay. Wow.
Yeah.
All right, what are we tasting next?
So next, we'll look at the current release, which is the 22. Okay. That was a drought vintage. So the winemaking is the same. The vineyard is the same.
Okay.
This is purely a vintage difference.
The aromatics here.
It's totally different, right?
Totally different. I'm getting some tea, white tea notes. Again, salinity and chamomile. Gorgeous wine. It reminds me of those, whenever I had a bad stomach, my grandmother would make me some chamomile ginger tea. Gorgeous. This is lovely. This is a 2023 Chardonnay?
2022.
22.
Yeah.
And the first one was 21.
21. Yeah, our 23 hasn't been released yet.
The first one, it's plumpier. This one is a little bit more sleek, racy, if you will. It's younger, of course. It's vibrant. There's gorgeous tension on the palate. And that's something that's hard to get in Sonoma because of the richness and the plumpness of the fruit.
Sun,
here, exactly, the sun, the generous sun. Here, because of the cool climate, you can really pass this in a blind tasting for a Burgundy wine.
100%.
Easily. Gorgeous, Nova.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's go to the next one.
Yep.
I'm blown away. Tito, I want to live here, man.
Well, we do have the apartment upstairs.
I'm going to check the Airbnb availability for the down season. What a gorgeous set of wines I've had so far. All right.
This is our dry Riesling. So we started with this wine in 2015. This is the first wine we made and the only wine we made for the first couple of years. This is the 2019. So again, showing you something with a little more bottle age on it. I like to show the older wines first because they've got a little more subtlety and nuance to them. But 2019 was a classic vintage, a little bit of mix of wet and dry weather. Really beautiful acid backbone, that vintage as well. But this is Riesling.
Yeah, but this is German. Tell me the truth. You brought this from Clos and Hune, no?
Nope.
No, this is Finger Lakes. This is not like a $300 bottle of Riesling and you're bottling here.
Nope.
I'm teasing you, of course.
I understand.
Gorgeous aromatics
but
here.
I will say, I told you with the rosé, I'm incredibly inspired by Provence. Obviously, with the Chardonnay, I'm incredibly inspired by Burgundy. With the Rieslings, what really inspired me is the Trocken styles of the Großgewächs in Germany. And those that are so beautiful and concentrated and textured and weighty without the sugar. And for me, that was really where I was like, no, Riesling can make great dry wine. And we just have to change people's minds.
There's this winery, Schloss Johannesburg. I've done stuff with them. The Silver Black, which is a GG that goes for like $100 a bottle.
Yeah.
Is spectacular. I do a list of my wines of the year since at least 10 years ago, and that Schloss Johannesburg Silver Black it's always there. But this, my Lord, I haven't even tasted it. It's a wine that I cannot stop smelling. And there's this. I love sherry. I love the wines, the reduction, the almond, the salinity, the brainy note of the wines from the southern part of Spain. And there is a whiff of a reduction here that I'm enjoying thoroughly. The word is not oxidized. The word is
Nutty.
Nutty. Thank you. Yes, nutty. Jeez, I was recently with Raúl Pérez tasting Palominos. He's a genius winemaker from the Bierzo region. He's the master of Mencía.
Nice.
And we were doing Palominos and we were doing Godellos. This is a world-class wine, Nova.
Thank you. Well, I always like to show, we only have 6 bottles of this left for sale. So I always like to show something with a little bit of bottle age on it for people to come in and see like, wow, okay, this is super different and super interesting. And I wanted our style of dry Riesling to be something that no one else has around here.
What is the, I don't think it's fair that I ask this from you because you seem to be the kind of person that you don't like to talk about your own accolades, but I'm blown away and I'm just curious about the press. What are they saying about these wines? Because to me, they're in a league of their own, being very respectful to everybody else. Again, I've been transported to Provence, to Burgundy, and to the Rhine or the Mosel here. What are they writing about your wines?
The people who, I mean, we're very small, so making a big press splash is challenging. But you know, everybody who has written about us has written very favorably. We get great scores. We were named as a winery to watch for Wine Spectator in 2018, so that was pretty early in our lifespan. And yeah, I think the more and more and more we just put out good quality wine that stands, you know, Mr. Mondavi had a saying that I want to make wines that stand in the company of the great wines of the world. And I think that's an amazing aspiration and one which I carry with me because it's not saying you want to be the best, it's saying you just want to sit at the table with the best. And that's my goal.
You're right there with the best, not at the table. This is frankly amazing. Like I'm getting some beeswax, some honeysuckle. This is glorious. How much is a bottle of this?
Well, this is a library one, so and it was $29 on release.
What?
So it's probably like
I gotta become your attorney.
It's got to be like
I can sell this for $100.
maybe?
I gotta come work for you. I can sell this for $200 for collectors.
You can come work for me anytime if you can do that. But yeah, the release price on the Riesling now is $32, but the library is good.
All right.
Yeah.
Next to last.
So no, not yet. We're still on Riesling here.
Okay, all right.
This is our current release dry. This is our 22 vintage. Again, drought vintage.
Cheers
very,
to
very
you,
concentrated.
My friend. It's been an honor meeting you.
Oh, thank you.
Lord.
Yeah, so this is a new one. It's on. This is our current release. But I love the richness and the tropicality of the 22 vintage.
It's like grabbing a stone, drizzling some lemon and a little bit of white honey on it, and some pollen.
I love that.
And then you lick it.
Yes,
it's incredible. It's incredible. I'm blown away by this. Tito, you were right, my friend. As always, this is brilliant. This is Andrew Jefford, brilliant writer for Decanter, says that
I like him a lot.
I love his prose. That certain wines inhabit people, and this is an experience that I shall never forget. I'm being inhabited by these wines.
No, I love that.
They're really touching me. Wow.
Thank you. Well, I mean, that's the reason we like this style of tasting lounge. Is I want people to come in and be introduced to our wines in an environment that they can be relaxed and hang out and chill with friends, but still have an amazing experience with these wines. And there are, a lot of people that come in through here that try the wines and are like, oh, this is great. But then there are a few people like yourself that come in with the understanding of what is out there in the world and where these wines sit. And so for me, it's always really gratifying to hear, because I feel like I know where they sit, but it's always nice to hear somebody else.
And you know what? It's good that I have, quote unquote, done the world before, and now I come here. I'm discovering Finger Lakes. I've been doing wine content for the past 19 years, 2006, and I think I have a good palate to evaluate mostly Spanish wines and Italians and French and South Americans for sure, Argentina and Chile. I'm going there next in March. And I feel that right now I'm tasting wines that can stand shoulder to shoulder to the very best from those regions. This is unbelievable. Okay, what are we having next?
This is our 21 Cabernet Franc.
This is homage to Loire, Chinon.
Yes.
Okay.
See, I love this. He knows what I'm thinking. He gets it like immediately, and I love that.
There's a brilliant winemaker, Bertrand Souderet. La Paulé, I can't recall, so many interviews. He also makes wines in Ribera del Duero with Dominio de Es, is his winery, in Soria, high altitude. And he makes brilliant wines in the Loire. And this Cab Franc is among the very best I've had from anywhere in the world. Pepper, a little bit of that leafy note, and the expression of the soil, the dirt, the earth, and then there's something fresh, something minty, something that I know is going to provide some sort of savory finish. Without even tasting this, I know that it's going to have a drying sensation that's going to destroy food and clean the food in my palate. How do you do it?
Well, for me, it's the refinement of the tannins. It's really, really important to have the textural elements be there. And so the extraction process that I go through on red wines is very, very critical.
It is a cool climate wine because my eyes are not deceiving me. It says Seneca Lake, it says Finger Lakes, but it achieves, and the word is not ripe, and it's not fruity. It achieves a level of fruit purity that I have not seen in any other Cab Francs, because it has incredible aromatics, but they're followed up with a lovely weight in the palate. It's a very serious Cab Franc that, again, homage to Loire Valley.
Hey,
delicious.
Bri, can you grab me the bottle of the 22, please? And grab an extra glass for Tito?
Delicious Cab Franc. My God, what a treat. Wow, you're mastering, because typically you see winemakers that dominate or are brilliant with 1, 2, 3 grapes, but I am thinking that perhaps these are the wines that you like to drink, and you make them in the style that you like to drink.
Yeah.
And then consumers have to accommodate to what you like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the best way to do it. But again, you're paying homage to the very best from other parts of the world, because that's what geniuses do. Like, was it Wilde that said imitation is the highest form of praise?
Yes.
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 And you're doing a great job at, paying homage to those places where they have mastered these varietals. This is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
So then I'll show you a little bit of a sneak preview here. This is not released yet.
I mean, look at the color in that.
This is the 22 Cabernet Franc. So it releases to the Wine Club this month. So there you go, Tito. But the 22 will release to everybody in February.
Jesus. Cheers to this. Cheers, Noble.
Cheers.
Okay, tell me a little bit about this one.
So 22 was a drought vintage, and it really allowed for an intense level of concentration here in the Finger Lakes that you don't normally see. And so for me, of the recent vintages, this is the most like ripe and rich and concentrated. And it really allowed me to use all of my Napa winemaking power here, which is really cool to see it.
Of course. And is this due to global warming, you think, a bit? Who's to say, right? But this, I love the botanicals. There's this herbs, this notes that take me a bit to those wines from Italy that I love, that have this amaro, like
Mm.
bitter notes, but
Mhm.
bitter in a good,
Yes.
refreshing way.
Yes.
Italians love their Aperol and their
Yes.
cocktails with like botanicals.
Yes.
They call it farmacia smells, but farmacia sounds like chemicals,
Yeah.
but botanicals, I
Mhm.
like to think.
Yeah. No, so
Tito corrected me earlier today.
I'm very inspired by fine dark chocolate and really good espresso. And the tannins that you find in that are what I want my red wines to feel like.
And this wine retails for how much?
$58 a bottle.
It's a bargain for what's in here. And how many bottles you produce of this one?
The 22, I think we have like a little over 100 cases.
Nothing. It's gorgeous.
Thank you.
It's gorgeous. Brilliant. You're brilliant, Nova.
Oh,
all right.
Thank you.
So are we tasting anything
yes,
else? Yes,
so we have a demi-sec Riesling. Let me get you a new glass. Or I can just give you a rinse, one of the two.
And you don't make any Cabernet Sauvignon?
Nope, not here. Okay. I do in Napa.
Oh, you still do?
Oh,
you
yeah.
still make wine in Napa?
Oh, yeah,
okay.
Yeah. If you want to try that, we can open a bottle. Let me get you a rinse here.
Yeah, like that. You're a master. Come on, how am I not gonna try it? Okay, Tito. Of course, if you say it. And I'm gonna do a video, a separate reel, and I'm not gonna do just one wine. I'm gonna sit in front of the camera with all the wines, saying, "This is the winery to watch." Like this is where Finger Lakes becomes a. I'm a huge fan of soccer, football, the real
100%,
football, American football.
I understand.
I know you said you like Buffalo Bills, but it's a passion of mine. I was born in Ecuador. I'm from South America.
Okay, yeah.
So it's
a serious thing.
It's a serious obsession. And these wines are in the World Cup.
Thank you.
The others are qualifying. You are in the World Cup. Okay, so this one,
this is our Riesling demi-sec. So, what we found in 2018 with our dry Riesling is that people really like an off-dry style. And so we introduced this wine in 2020. It's more classic for the Finger Lakes area. It's a little more widely accepted. I call it my crowd pleaser wine, but it is kind of our homage to what the Finger Lakes is known for.
Okay, the style. Like,
the
it's an
style
homage to here.
Yes.
Like you went to all over the world and now you return here. But the aromatics here are crazy. It smells clean. It smells like when you enter a room for the first time and at a hotel, and it smells clean, and it has natural essences, not chemicals, like natural things like oils that they've placed there. What is it that I'm getting? I don't know if it's like a lemon zest or flowers.
I like linden flower for this. Like,
yeah. They're white flower. It's remarkable. Oh, glorious. So quaffable, so easy to drink. And even though it's a demi-sec, the acidity, the nerve, the tension, like at the string of a guitar, but it plays folk music. It's gorgeous. I love it.
Thank you.
Delicious, fantastic. This has a price point of...
It's 32.
32. Incredible wines.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nova. And I think we're doing one. Can we try
absolutely.
the Napa thing?
Absolutely, you can try it. Let me go grab it. I need an...
So we're back with Nova Cadamatre, the most impressive, not female, not male, human winemaker I've met over the past couple of months. I'm blown away by her wines. Love to see how the wheels in her mind turn as she talks. And now we are moving away from the Finger Lakes. We're moving to the west coast of the United States, and we're going to try her Napa Valley project. Can you tell me about this gorgeous label?
Thank you.
What is this? Is like a Game of Thrones kind of thing?
Exactly. So it's Fearua is how you pronounce it. It's Scotch Gaelic for the untamed red deer. And Brian and I both, his last name is Italian, but he's half Scottish. I have a very intense Scottish background with the last name of McCune originally. So we felt like we needed a brand that highlighted our Scottish roots. And so Fearua, Scotch Gaelic. And I love making Napa Cabernet. I really do. I love making wine, period. I think you figured that out. But there's just really something magical about making a wine in an area where it just grows so perfectly and you can just make it so beautifully. And so for me, it's just a really fun thing to do. And so being unleashed now that I don't work for somebody full time, I'm doing my own thing, we have our own company. This is me being untamed, you know, and I can make wine the way I feel like it should be made, no matter where I am. And this is 2018 Stag's Leap, 100% Cabernet, 100% new Taranto barrels, medium toast for 18 months. And I think it is just like,
it's unbelievable.
It's a spectacular wine.
It is spectacular. This wine cannot be less than $500.
Yeah, it's $225 a bottle.
$225 is half of that. Oh my God. And you were talking about chocolate and dark chocolate and salted chocolate and your homage to that and the concentration, the purity of fruit, the graphite, the iron, the pencil shaving, and the cassis. I love the cassis here. And the this is a baby. Like, we're committing a felony.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you.
In jail. This is.
I know, and it's 18.
This is wine pedophilia.
It's 18, and it's like it's still so young, and it still needs so much time.
This will last forever. And the concentration, the purity, and I'm gonna be honest with you. And my followers and the people who trust in my palate know that as of late, I've been calling some, and I get proven wrong every time I try a gem like this one. I say that Napa nowadays, well, there's a scaling back, but maybe like 12, 14 years ago, there was a pornographic stage where they were making saturated,
too big, too
clogging, concentrated wines that you could only have a glass or two. I remember I had a conversation with Luis Gutierrez, who's the reviewer for Wine Advocate on Spain, Chile, and Argentina. And even though he rates wines for a living, he said wines are meant to be drunk, not just rated.
Right.
Because when you rate, you drink a glass.
Yeah.
But when you're with friends, which is what wine is all about, why not finish the bottle? Have 100%. 3, 4 glasses. This is incredibly balanced because despite of that generous fruit, the finish is fresh.
Yes.
The finish is minty, and it's 100% cap. It's glorious. And how many bottles you make of this?
I only made 60 cases.
60 cases?
Maybe 12 left.
And where do you get the fruit from? It's Stag's Leap,
It's Stag's Leap, yeah. Stag's Leap District.
And which facility do you use?
So that was made at Mondavi while I was there.
This is unbelievable. This is amazing. 14.5. See, it's manageable. Glorious, glorious wine. Nova, what's next before we wrap up? We've been talking for 46 minutes. I could stay here forever. Can you adopt me? I work here for wine. You can pay me with wine. What's next? Like, are you investigating? Oh, you were telling me that you're trying to do some white Pinot Noir?
Yes. So we have a white Pinot Noir that's
coming up soon.
Okay. We crushed it in 24. It's part of our study sketch series. That's going to be our 2024 study sketch. And that's our new-ish wine. Our Pinot Noir will come out in 2027. Because it takes time. All good things take time. And then we'll just see where Fearua goes in Napa, and then the fact that our company's 10 years old this year. Like, after the last 10 years, you think about everything that's happened over the last 10 years and the economic headwinds and the pandemic and all of that. The fact that we've made it to this point in our history, I think, is incredible. And for me, the thing that's been really, really important.
It's not incredible. You're amazing. You're brilliant. You're gonna shine. if something were to happen to you and your husband, that you need to move out of the country and you land in Bulgaria, you'll make the best Bulgarian wine there is. This is
Thank you.
By far the most rewarding experience I've had with an American winery. I'm like that. I've been doing this for a long time. That I had no idea existed before a week ago. Because I've been reading about other wineries, and even though I've never been to Napa, a lot of those wineries, the big ones, Harlan, Schrader, Phelps, everything is available in Puerto Rico, and I've done hundreds of interviews with them. But again, it's a Napa style. It's a style that I used to enjoy more. Nowadays, not so much. But what I just tasted from Trestle 30 wine, it's got me crazy.
Excellent. I love that.
I'm gonna buy some wines to bring back home, and I need for you to sign the label
Yeah, of course.
and dedicate the wine.
That I can
not
do.
to me, to my son.
Okay.
He was born in 2013.
Okay.
And the idea is for when he's of age, because it's not going to start when you started at 9 years old drinking, I'll be able to pull out a bottle and say, Nova made this.
Yeah, 100%.
Because when he's of age, you're going to be impossible to reach.
Oh.
You have a future that you have no idea where it's going. But I have a sense that, you know, Helen Turley and those women who are
icons.
Well, you're on your way.
Oh,
thank you so much, Nova. How can people find Trestle 31 social media? What's your website?
Yep. So we have our Instagram page, a Facebook page, Trestle 31. I have my own personal Instagram page that I am very active on. We do have a YouTube channel.
Can I tag you in your page?
100%.
Is
Please
it
tag
Nova
all
Cadamatre?
of it. Yes. Nova Cadamatre MW.
Great. And I'm going to get your info, your digits. We're going to become friends. I'm going to be a client of yours.
Excellent.
Tito is going to hold on to my wine if he doesn't drink it.
He's got plenty of his own.
I know. He was telling me we needed to come here. Thank you. Thank you for this. It's been an experience that I'll treasure forever. Gracias, mi gente, por escucharme. Yo no sé por qué hago esto. Why do I change from the whole interview was in English and then I finished? It's an homage to my mother tongue, to my language.
I understand.
Gracias, mi gente, por su sintonía. Espero hayan disfrutado esta entrevista. Estoy conmovido. Estoy conversando con una Master of Wine, enóloga brillante. Es la experiencia más memorable que he tenido con una bodega de los Estados Unidos, de todos los Estados Unidos, en muy buen tiempo. Esto es Trestle 31 de los Finger Lakes y hemos probado Chardonnay, Riesling, un Cabernet Franc impresionante rosado y en su versión tinta, por supuesto, y un vino de Napa Valley que me ha volado la cabeza. Gracias por escuchar, gracias por su paciencia. Recuerden que en el mundo del vino hay espacio para todos y que lo importante no es el destino o la meta, sino el viaje y el recorrido. Será hasta la próxima. I want to toast with you before we go. Thank you. You're amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tito. Thank you for this. Será hasta la próxima. Bye bye. Este fue el episodio de hoy. Recuerda dejarnos una reseña para que nos ayudes a crecer, suscribirte y recomendarnos con tus amigos amantes del vino. No importa cuán avanzado estés en el recorrido de enamorarte de aquello que decían sobre el vino. Son uvas transformadas en poesía. Aquí hay espacio para todos. Salud y como siempre, dale share.